On our 5th wedding anniversary, I told Emily I wanted to give her a grand wedding ceremony. I'd always regretted not being able to provide one when we first married. But on the day of our vow renewal, she received a text message and rushed out without explanation. When I chased after her, she patted my shoulder reassuringly. "John, there's an urgent matter at the office. I need to handle this immediately," she said with forced calmness. Her lie was transparent, yet I chose not to confront her. The cancer diagnosis I'd received last week left me numb. There simply weren't enough days left for arguments. What Emily didn't know was that I'd already seen the message lighting up her phone earlier. "John, I'll never interfere in your life again. Are you satisfied now?" Before I could process those words, I watched Emily glance at her phone screen and bolt from our venue with uncharacteristic panic. This woman who'd always maintained perfect composure now moved like someone fleeing disaster. When I tried to follow, my weakened legs collided with the doorframe, fresh pain shooting through my knees. She didn't even look back as her car disappeared down the street. I'd postponed chemotherapy for this ceremony, determined to fulfill my final promise to Emily. Now I stood facing 6 tables of confused guests, college roommates, work colleagues, childhood friends who'd traveled hours to witness this farce. Their concerned eyes followed as I mechanically moved between tables, throat burning with every forced pleasantry. The call from my mother came as I collapsed into a chair. "How can you celebrate when your cousin's dying?" she screamed. It took several moments to understand. Daniel had attempted suicide again. My exhausted laugh sounded foreign even to me. Didn't Emily already rush to his rescue? Should I kill myself too? Would that cure his depression? What I didn't say, they'll all get their wish soon enough. The doctors gave me 3 months, maybe 4. When Emily returned that night, I was cleaning my bloodied knee. "John, I'm so sorry," she whispered, eyes glistening with manufactured regret. "Can we please not fight tonight?" The words left me before I could reconsider. "Emily, let's get a divorce." She reacted like I'd struck her, clutching me so violently my bandages tore. "Don't say that." Her trembling hands fumbled with the gauze. "We'll have countless anniversaries. You can't just throw away. Today was your last chance." I interrupted, meeting her panicked stare. "What exactly are you afraid of, Emily? That I'll discover how you've been comforting Daniel this whole time?" Her retreating footsteps echoed through our suddenly cavernous home. In the suffocating silence of my study, the truth crystallized. Daniel had always been the sun in Emily's universe. She'd never shown me photos of her ex, never mentioned his name during our courtship. How poetic that the man haunting our marriage turned out to be the cousin I'd been forced to compete with since childhood. The Wilson family had taken in Daniel after his parents' fatal car accident. And from that day, every birthday gift, academic achievement, and childhood toy became his by default. He's suffered enough, they'd chant whenever I protested. Now 30 years later, he'd somehow claim my wife too. As I lay staring at the ceiling's hairline cracks, the familiar burning spread through my chest. 3 hours of sleep, if I was lucky. The pills made me nauseous, but did nothing for the pain. Somewhere down the hall, shower water ran endlessly, Emily's preferred method of avoidance. I should have realized sooner. The way her eyes softened when Daniel's name appeared in conversations. The emergency meetings that always coincided with his depressive episodes. The birthday card I'd found last month signed, "Always yours" in looping script. Our entire marriage had been a stopgap measure, a consolation prize while she waited for Daniel to need her again. And now, as my body failed, their tragic romance could resume without interference. The ultimate humiliation, even in death. I remained the villain in their love story, the cold-hearted cousin who'd stolen Daniel's birthright and now his soulmate. The digital clock glowed 2:40, 7 a.m. when the coughing started. I counted each crimson droplet staining the handkerchief, wondering if Daniel's wrists had bled this vividly. How fitting that we'd both chosen anniversaries for our final acts. Him on his parents' death date, me on this hollow celebration of love. Somewhere beyond the bathroom door, Emily's phone buzzed with fresh notifications. I closed my eyes, imagining Daniel's bandaged arms reaching across hospital sheets. Let them have their tragic reunion. My remaining days would be spent untangling medical bills and writing apology letters, not for existing, but for daring to claim what was never truly mine. We tacitly agreed not to mention anything about it. After Emily and I got married, during one Chinese New Year visit to my parents, Daniel happened to return home for the holidays. His presence that day visibly unsettled Emily, stirring deep unease within me. Whenever I tried to discuss it, she'd deflect with the past should stay buried. Rehashing it only brings pain. After the holidays, Daniel left to study violin abroad. My parents sold our home to fund his education, moving back to the countryside. The familiar bitterness resurfaced. Daniel always got the expensive music lessons while I scraped by without tutoring. My mother's glowing pride when discussing his musical pursuits still haunts me. Who knew our family could produce an artist? She'd marvel. Emily squeezed my hand tightly then, whispering, "You'll always be the most extraordinary man in my eyes." I gave Emily full access to my phone and finances. When her appetite waned, I learned to cook elaborate meals after work. Our evenings were spent holding hands during neighborhood walks. Life felt simple yet complete until Daniel returned. Depression had ravaged him. Angry scars laddered his arms, and my mother wept uncontrollably while embracing him. When he confronted me, gaunt and desperate, "John, I regret everything. Give Emily back to me," I dismissed him as delusional. Yet his revelation during that fateful New Year's Eve resurfaced. "You married Emily precisely because she was my ex, didn't you?" The fireworks around us froze mid-explosion. I'd married my brother's former girlfriend weeks earlier, completely unaware. Emily had stormed into my life during my bleakest days, her devotion never wavering. Had I known, I told Daniel truthfully, I'd have avoided you completely. He left shortly after with a cryptic text, "You've yielded enough. This time, I yield." Emily and I weathered that storm. For years, Daniel remained absent from our lives until his shattered return. That winter, his constant complaints of coldness drove my mother to premature gray hairs. I recommended specialists, but everything changed when I noticed Emily's gaze lingering on him, that particular softness reserved for wounded creatures. Enough. Emily snapped during our first real fight when I confronted her. "Can't you see he's suffering?" I retreated home alone, clinging to denial through force of habit. The final blow came during New Year's visit to my parents. Unbeknownst to me, Emily presented Daniel with Tibetan saffron for warmth and a protective charm for peace. Her tender offerings hung in the air, a silent requiem for our marriage. I remained silent the entire time, feeling dazed as if transported back to those years when my parents would return from trips laden with gifts for Daniel, while I could only watch like a begging dog. On our way home, Emily tried to hold my hand. As I struggled free, I noticed she'd slipped a silver ring onto my finger. "Is my John running a vinegar brewery?" She pinched my cheek playfully. "The saffron was Mom's request. The protection charm was incidental. They think your brother might be cursed. But this ring?" Her eyes softened. "I chose this after weeks of searching. With me here, you'll always be safe." She always knew how to weave magic with words. Impulsively, I kissed her forehead. "Emily, let's have a proper wedding. I'm sorry I never gave you that." Our gazes locked, and in that moment, I truly believed all my doubts were illusions born of paranoia. How desperately I wanted to confess then. The sleepless nights during her business trip, the constant nausea, when multiple hospitals handed me identical diagnoses. I'd stared at my phone wanting to call her, yet couldn't even face myself. Doctors asked why I delayed treatment. "College stress," I mumbled, remembering those years when Mom emptied our coffers for Daniel's music dreams while hounding me about part-time jobs and scholarships. Why begrudge Daniel his passion? She'd snap whenever I questioned the disparity. "Haven't I given you college?" Emily had been my sanctuary then. We'd survived the early days of starting a business, sitting on dollar store stools through 24-hour train rides. Her whispering will make it against my shoulder. Now the future she promised was slipping through my fingers. The jewelry store epiphany came on our wedding night. The young salesgirl blushed, recalling the customer. A woman rushed in right before closing last Sunday, straight from the airport. Buying this for her husband. Must have really loved him to be that frantic. Frantic with guilt. More likely. My romantic delusions curdled as I realized this expensive band was probably last-minute guilt appeasement after she'd forgotten my gift. lying better than later. I startled when Emily burst in. What will it take to stop your suspicions? Her kiss triggered violent retching. As I collapsed by the toilet. Her wounded John? How could you? Echoed behind her fleeing footsteps. Divorce. I rasped. Face dripping sink water. I mean it. Never. Her handkerchief fluttered to the floor like a surrender flag. At the hospital, Daniel yanked his foreign fury. What now? John, can't you leave me be? Blood bloomed across sheets as I offered peeled orange segments I could no longer eat. Try some. They look sweet. Acidic longing burned my throat. For the fruit. For any taste of normalcy. For the comfort I'd never ask from her again. Daniel's emotions grew even more intense. He knocked the orange out of my hand, weeping uncontrollably. My mother burst into the room, clutching Daniel's meal container. The food looked vaguely familiar, but I didn't have time to process it. She slapped me across the face, shouting, "What did Daniel ever do to you? Why can't you leave him alone?" The blow made my nosebleed gush onto the floor. I stared at the crimson splatters without speaking, then stood to leave. She chased me into the hallway, grabbing my arm. "John, what's wrong with you? Are you sick? You've lost so much weight lately. None of your business. I'm your mother." She snapped. "Really? I don't believe you." My laughter dissolved into tears as I fled. Every day I returned to that hospital room, trapped in this vicious cycle until Emily signed the divorce papers. Let's all suffer together. When Emily rushed back that evening, I was struggling with kanji that had turned to mush. Each forced swallow made me retch. Sipping sugar water, I managed to keep some down. "What are you doing to yourself, John?" she asked through clenched teeth. "Could you make me noodles?" Her culinary skills were legendary, though she hadn't cooked in years. After weeks of liquid diets through straws, I craved those noodles desperately. Countless restaurants had failed to replicate them. Even if I couldn't eat, the aroma would comfort me. "Please stop tormenting Daniel," she begged. Her words flayed me alive. "Divorce me, and I'll disappear." "You're impossible." The door slammed behind her. Emily once vowed she'd never regret marrying me. Now that regret was mine. Why this desperate need for divorce when time grows short? Memories haunt me. How did everything unravel so completely? Why offer my heart to those who trample it? My daily hospital visits became morbid theater. That's when I discovered the truth about Daniel's meals. "Want some?" he taunted, waving Emily's home-cooked food. "It's the only thing I can keep down." For the first time, he almost broke me. The phone rang as I left the hospital. "Stop this madness. John, Daniel's critically ill." Emily's voice shook. "Divorce ends it." At the intersection, suicidal impulses warred with guilt about traumatizing some poor driver. Crowds swarmed past as I stood paralyzed, haunted by images of Emily cooking for Daniel while denying me simple noodles. Perhaps heaven heard me. Perhaps Daniel's strength failed. During our final stairwell confrontation, I envied how effortlessly he hurled venom. My mother summoned Emily. "I wish you were dead," Daniel screamed through tears. Our struggle sent me tumbling down concrete steps. Shattering glass tore through my white sweater, embedding shards in my arms and face. Blood bloomed crimson as Emily rushed to help. "Divorce me," I pleaded, shaking her off. "Set me free before time runs out." She never answered. The ER lights blurred above me. Through morphine haze, I heard her arguing with doctors about treatment plans. My shredded arm required surgery. But what's the point? Let the infection take me. Final clarity comes now. They'll find this note after I discharge myself. To Emily, keep the house. To Mother, Daniel's yours. To Daniel, actually, nothing. The bridge wind cuts through my thin jacket. Below, dark water swirls. No collateral damage here. Just cold finality. I step onto the railing. Salt spray stinging my glass, cut cheek. At least this pain is mine alone. Wait. Headlights approach on the bridge walkway. That silhouette. Emily? Impossible. She's supposed to be at Daniel's bedside. Yet here she sprints toward me. Nightgown flapping in the wind. Barefoot on asphalt. "John, your test results." The doctor said. Her words scatter in the roaring wind. Let her think I never heard. One final step. Emptiness. Cold. So cold. Dark water swallows light and sound. Peace at last. I didn't want to see my mother acting like a mother hen protecting her chicks. I didn't want them handling my affairs after I died. What if there really was an afterlife and we crossed paths again? Emily's face darkened as she said, "Do you hate me so much that you'd go this far to divorce me? Fine. Have it your way." That was the most relieved I'd ever felt. After getting my wounds bandaged at the hospital, we went to sign the papers, though we still had to wait a month. Desperate, I pleaded with the civil affairs officer. We both agree. "Can't we finalize it now?" They replied, "You've waited years. What's another month?" But it mattered. It truly did. The doctors said my days were numbered. Unpredictable. I couldn't afford that month. Emily looked furious. "John, are you this desperate to leave me?" I didn't want to see her anymore, not even a glance. My time was slipping away, and these final days belonged only to me. As I stood to leave, she blocked my path. "Assets take time to divide through lawyers. Rushing will cost you dearly. Why the hurry? Keep it all," I said. After a pause, I added, "Emily, let's never meet again. May you get everything you deserve." "John, can't you stop being so childish?" she shouted behind me. Ignoring her, I bought a ticket to Dolly. I owned a small house there with a courtyard, purchased a year ago, shaded by a massive jacaranda tree that bloomed lavishly in May and June. The remote location had made it cheap, a lucky find after a lucrative project. At least I hadn't told anyone about it, leaving me one last refuge. Days later, agonizing pain jolted me awake at night. After injecting a painkiller, my mother called, screaming, "Have you lost your mind? Divorcing someone as good as Emily? For that, Daniel? What insane nonsense are you spouting? I'll hang up if there's nothing important." I said flatly, "Are you abandoning us? Living your cushy life while ditching your own parents?" Her voice broke into sobs. "How much do you want?" 30,000. "Daniel needs medical care and rent. I'll give you 50. I had about 60,000 left, enough for my remaining days. Whether she wasted it on Daniel wasn't my concern. "Since when are you so generous?" I muttered. "Mom, do I still owe you? How much more? What else must I do?" John. Her voice wavered nervously. "Take the 50,000, and you're no longer my mother. I'm not your son. This wasn't my choice. After this, you lose the right to call me yours." I hung up, repeating to myself, "It's almost over. Soon." The remaining days were mine alone. Curled under blankets by the heater, I still shivered uncontrollably. Sunlight pierced through cracked curtains, revealing mountains veiled in mist, a view so breathtaking it ached. How many such mornings remained? When my phone rang again, I nearly smashed it. But Michael planned to visit soon. I wanted to see him one last time. The caller ID showed my father. "Son, ignore your mother. Keep your money. Are you okay?" "I'm sorry. This is all my fault. Where are you now?" His uncharacteristic flood of words left me numb. He is my father. My biological father. All these years he's been working grueling jobs to support our family. Yet he always remained indifferent to my struggles, telling me to understand them, to understand why my mother did what she did. They named me John, knowing others' intentions, teaching me to be considerate, obedient, the perfect child. But they never taught me how to know my own heart. Every day, I wondered why I existed, just to meet one goal after another. Study hard. Yield to Daniel. Save money for the family. Earn money for the family. "Dad." "Yeah? I'm listening." "I don't owe you anymore." "Do I?" John. He kept calling out. "I mean, there's nothing left between us, right?" I repeated. "John, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. All my fault." "Dad, can you do me one last favor?" I asked after some thought. "Anything. Just name it." He suddenly sounded alert. "Let me stop being your son. Please." Silence. Only suppressed sobs came through. "Being your child is exhausting. I'm so tired. Let me go?" "Okay. Don't contact me anymore. Don't look for me. We're even now." After a long pause came the reply, "No one will make you suffer anymore. Never again." I hung up, surprised to feel tears wetting my cheeks. My upbringing taught me men shed blood, not tears. I never imagined my final days would be so damp. Soon came violent coughing and retching. Exhausted from pain, I fell asleep. When I woke, Michael was by my bedside, eyes red-rimmed. I feigned nonchalance. Why cry? Your buddy's just scouting the path ahead. When you join me at 100, I'll show you around. Before I finished, he swung a fist at my chest, but froze mid-air. John, could you be any dumber? Why didn't you tell me? Why wait until now? Told you now. Didn't I? I shrugged. Ignoring me, he wiped his eyes and prepared liquid food with professional precision. How long have you been on this? Don't worry about dates. I stopped counting. A fat tear splashed on my blanket. I pretended not to notice. How many vacation days did you take? The scenery here's amazing. I'll show you around. I quit my job. He said calmly. Are you insane? After all that effort? For this? You idiot. He kept washing dishes. Back turned. John, my career can spare a few months. With my skills, I can return anytime. His deliberately cheerful tone made me suddenly think maybe my life wasn't complete trash. After signing the divorce papers, I blocked all Emily's contacts. Michael retrieved the divorce certificate for me. Mentioning Emily kept asking about me. He didn't indulge her. When he told me, I simply said, I want no news of her. Never see her again. Done. She won't find you. He thumped his chest like some sworn guardian. As my condition worsened, nights became torture. During one particularly bad episode, Michael rushed in with painkillers. Why didn't you call me? You should have called me. John. The agony made me research assisted suicide, only to find I couldn't even afford to die. Swiss euthanasia costs about $100,000. Resigned. I gave up. One night, an unknown number called. Recognizing Emily's voice immediately, I hung up. She texted me, the asset division requires your personal presence. I wanted to tell her to leave me alone, but suddenly remembered the euthanasia procedure. My hands trembled so violently from pain that I could barely type. Yet the excruciating agony drove me to try. Just give me $700,000. You can keep the rest. John, where are you? I want to see you. I'm sorry. Just one meeting? Never mind. I'll die alone. I blocked this number too. Lying in bed drenched in sweat, I remained acutely conscious of the pain. As dawn's first light appeared, I somehow found strength to change clothes. Grabbing a blanket, I settled under the jacaranda tree's swing. The rising sun painted a new day. Michael brought me water. My blurred vision gradually cleared as he approached. What are you looking at? He asked. Michael. Jacaranda trees bloom in May or June. The entire canopy turns blue. It must be breathtaking. Yeah, I really want to see it. We sat in silence. I grasped his hand. Sorry I didn't die indoors. I'm leaving you nothing but this house. He shook his head vehemently, eyes reddening. The morning sun warmed the house beautifully as my consciousness faded. John, death liberates you from earthly burdens. You're free now. His sobs echoed nearby. Don't cry, my friend. We'll meet again. Epilogue. I awoke with tear-soaked pillows. It had all been a dream. I wasn't John. There was no Emily or Daniel. Only David and John's cousin Sophia, who stole his inheritance. I was David, the despicable betrayer who'd experienced my wife's entire life through this vision. The life of a girl perpetually neglected, never shown affection. She'd once tearfully confided about her family. I'd mechanically comforted her without true understanding. Having grown up loved, now I finally comprehend true torment. I understood why she refused to see me before dying. Sophia's text notification blinked. David, the living must move forward. I've made chicken soup. I'm downstairs. Climbing to the rooftop, I saw her standing there without remorse, eyes glittering with ambition. I envied her heartless resilience. Why does the world permit such injustice? I couldn't continue living with this suffocating guilt. Through my haze, I imagined John's beloved jacarandas blooming. Maybe if I picked one, would he meet me? I stepped forward. No flowers. No John. Sophia's shrill scream pierced the air. The concrete felt unyielding. My body must look horrific. No matter, John wouldn't see it anyway. John, I won't haunt you anymore. In our next life, don't be John, who constantly pleases others. I'll guard the underworld path. No one will ever hurt you again.